Hello, folks. Welcome to Between Awesome and Disaster. This is your host, Will Carey. I appreciate you being here. Hope you're doing well, taking care of those closest to you. If you are listening to this on the day it came out, Election Day is tomorrow. So if you have not voted early or sent in your mail-in ballot, go out and vote today. I know pundits in the news say that every election is the most important election, but genuinely, this one is, because I feel like for the last 4 years I have been in a steadily increasing pool of snakes, and for the first time I see a shred of hope of getting pulled out of the vat of snakes, and we can figure out what to do once we are out of the vat of snakes. But let's get out of the vat of snakes, or pit's probably a better metaphor for what I'm going with. But if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, go out and vote tomorrow. I will be as well. I will be voting in person. I've got my voting in person plan, and I am going to do it no matter what. So thank you guys again for being here. Today on the show, switching topics. Switching topics here. My guest on the show today is an old comedy friend of mine from the Baltimore area. If you've listened to my show this year, I have been fortunate enough to be able to reconnect with a lot of my closest friends in comedy from when I started in the Baltimore area. And my guest on the show today is comedian Bryan Preston. Bryan is, along with Violet Gray, I feel like the person who understood me the most as far as terms of pop culture and touchstones, and as far as movies, comic books. Bryan was my guy for like recommending me interesting comic books for a long time. So when I was getting into reading comics, he would be the guy like, what should I be checking out next? He's like, oh, you gotta check out this. You gotta get The Killing Joke. He recommended me a great series, which I bring up in the show, called Heavy Liquid. And this was the first time that we had talked in a really long time. But he was of the crew of people I started with, very and one of the first friends I made doing comedy. And I crashed at his apartment numerous times when I would come down from New York, from Baltimore, to do shows. And it was really great to catch up with him. Bryan, I forgot, has a very specific cadence when he talks. So we get through lots of the traditional biographical stuff that you would do on a podcast like this, and we kind of really get into dissecting pop culture and some of our favorite things, and kind of the way he approaches the way he approaches his career doing stand up compared to some of the other people that I talk to. You know, Bryan is still in Baltimore, but I love the dude, and I'm glad I got to chat with him again. So this is going to be another of those old friends catching up episodes, but I really enjoy doing these because, as I've said before, this podcast is how I'm staying connected to people during lockdown, during being unable to travel, during this dumpster fire of a year that we call 2020. But even dumpster fires, and I've had many moments like this year, have their silver linings. So thank you guys for being here. If you enjoy this and want to listen to more, we're available wherever you get your podcasts. And you can hit me up on Twitter at @ComicWillCarey, or on Instagram, I'm WillCarey23, spelled like Carey, not 2 R's like Jim. And let's get into it. Let's talk to my friend, comedian Bryan Preston. Is that a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure background you have?
Yes, it is.
Uh-huh. Can you just as a relatively recent anime convert, and like I've been really in the past like few years, is there some kind of tension online between JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fandom and the Sword Art Online fandom? Because every time I go on Twitter, like looking for Sword Art Online stuff, I see everybody who always attacks it is apparently like a JoJo stan, is what I'm saying.
I don't know. You know what? I don't really get that much into anime Twitter. I'm on like anime Reddit, but I'm only on the JoJo one, so I don't really see the strife between the two. But I'm sure it's because they think their anime is the greatest anime ever, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I've found. Maybe it just
Um,
comes from being in my 30s, but I tend to really enjoy the stuff I still enjoy, and
mhm.
I don't get caught up in all the like cultural like have to defend this because it's my identity stuff that maybe I did when I was in my
Yeah, I don't really
20s.
have like that much. I don't have that much time, you know. Like, I mean, I enjoy like I watch anime, but like, I mean, I go to like conventions and shit, but
Hmm.
you know, like, I in a professional capacity, not so much as a fan of shit. So yeah, I hear you. I don't know who the fuck has that. I don't have that. There aren't enough hours in the day for me to get into that. You know what I mean? And also, I agree with you on the whole. It is an anime that I enjoy watching. It is in no part a defining characteristic now.
Yeah, exactly. I was that way with music certainly when I was younger. Like I would like get really rabid anytime somebody was like, "No, this is these bands are great," and if
Yeah,
you say otherwise, then you must hate me as a person. So therefore, we must battle to the death.
yeah, it's understandable. I mean, I think well, kids, you know, it's always about like just certainly the time. You know, just finding personal identity and a sense of belonging in something. You know, certainly for a lot of kids. So I guess yeah, it's a good time for alienation, and then also ardently believing in anything. You know, just
Mm-hmm.
something or anything. I think. I mean, just Jesus Christ. I think back on like yeah, people growing up like being my like you know late teens, early 20s and shit. Just you know, just people being very, very into something.
Yes, 100%. And I feel like, and I don't know if you feel this the same way as well. I think comedy for a lot of ways was that for me too, because I remember I was going to Towson University as a theater major.
Mm-hmm.
I was not the guy that was going to get cast in leads. I was going to get
Mm-hmm.
cast wherever I fit,
Yeah.
and I was still kind of like my band had broken up, and that was had been one of the dreams, and I had had a bad experience with the band
Mm-hmm.
breaking up, and then I was like, oh, what is going to be the thing? And then stand up is where I fell into. I found I had like a skill for it,
Mm-hmm.
and then and the mind for it, and then the the pirate crew, especially in
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore, that I fell into, that would be like you, Jay Zek,
Mm-hmm.
Violet Gray, Brian, you're Ryan Preston, Tommy Zimbazo,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole like Damon's T-Bread crew.
Yeah.
That became my tribe.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, it was definitely. Yeah, I mean, we all spent a lot of time with each other in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Yeah, I mean, like, and actually, you know, Tommy, Violet, and I still, you know, we do like do our podcast together twice a week and shit. So, you know, we all still, I mean, yeah, actually, no, we're all. I mean, those of us still, we're all still pretty tight. I mean, like, you know, great, except for I guess like I don't remember the last time I even spoke to fucking T Brad, but you know,
Mm-hmm. Well, he's doing
well, he
well.
moved.
Yeah, he's down in South Carolina
Even
now.
both, huh?
He's in South Carolina now. He and his
Yeah, it's
wife.
been there for a couple years, but I mean, even like before that, I mean, I probably spoke to T Brad. I don't know. I don't want to tell my stories outside. So, you know what? He got a lot of us. You know what? He had a mic that was very important to a lot of us. And for a lot of us, I mean, that kind of was the thing in like 2008. So, yeah.
I think so, man. And it's good to see you, dude, because
I can see it too, man.
yeah, because I feel like after I like you know, because we ran together, I think, for a great number of years before
Yeah.
I moved to the city. So yeah, like, and I especially felt like maybe like I definitely identified like you, me, and Violet. I think had a lot of the of similar interests. Like I
Yeah.
always remember like going to you for like, oh, what comic books should I get? What should I get?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like I remember you recommended me something. I think I ended up having to go and like get it ordered, like Heavy Liquid or something like that. I remember a series like something
Okay,
like
that
that.
sounds yeah. That's a shit. I haven't thought about that in a number of years, but that is definitely within the realm of the possible. I mean, also like God knows, actually at the time I was like way more into independent comic books than I am these days, which is odd.
Mm-hmm.
I got
You
like way more into the mainstream. It's just I don't know. It's a number of things probably.
uh huh.
The more I think about it, I think yeah. But also actually like around the time I started my fucking board, or actually no, sorry, 2000 I started my job. I just sort of like looked to you know, there's I think we like just dealing with like academic shit all the time. Well,
Mm-hmm.
academic shit. I mean, the papers are fucking garbage. I think really like a lot more of my reading time was just more so like just diversionary. So I think that's probably why I strayed a little bit more towards like just the superhero. Also, a lot of the shit I was into would get, you know what I mean, like has finite run. And indie books have like way more finite runs for shit, you know what I mean? So it's just you
Yeah,
can follow
because of
creators around and whatnot. But then a lot of them, when they look when their indie shit blows up, they go to the mainstream, and then you just keep reading X-Men again for another decade.
yeah, kind of like how I feel like we are for you and I for like the rest of our lives. Certainly, we're just gonna watch Batman's parents die every couple of years.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I mean they have to every like yeah, I mean they like every couple of years, or every other year. I mean depending on the medium, I guess. You know, it's like a lot of movies. Yeah, God, Jesus,
Yeah, like I feel at a certain
fucking
point.
Joker.
Well, I feel like at a certain point, because I actually I enjoyed Joker, but I never want to watch it again. The same way I feel about like Requiem for a Dream and The Wrestler.
Mm.
Like it just like it was just like a just pummeled me with all of its with everything. But I feel like at a certain point with Batman, you have to like just put a quick asterisk like his parents were killed when his parents were killed when he was a kid, and
Yeah,
that's why he's Batman.
pretty much. Yeah, I mean and it's funny. I think everybody knows it, and it's really I don't think we need to do it again, but we
Yeah,
might.
I I would like them to do. I think a live action Batman Beyond would be pretty great. I would like to see that
I
story
would like to see that
explored.
too. I don't think that like I don't trust them to not fuck it up. Partly is one
Hmm.
of the things, but depending on you get like the right people on it, it'd be probably pretty dope. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see that and a lot of other shit. But like, also, I guess we're gonna see what happens with movies.
Yeah, if movies are ever are
I
if a
mean,
thing
big ass
again.
budget movies, yeah. Like they're gonna keep making movies. Actually, you know what? Netflix does throw a lot of money around at shit, but like I don't know, even their big ass, big budget action movies are just like when they really get like named people, they're kind of just shittier than like big budget action movies you'd see in a theater.
Yeah, I mean
Like
the
600, like the Michael Bay one, like
hmm
I would be mad if I saw that in a theater, even knowing it was like a Michael Bay movie, and if I still
right.
paid money, being like, it's gonna be cool, it's gonna be Michael Bay. I would like if I saw it in a theater, I'd be like upset, but I saw it at home, and so I could just like stop watching it, and
Yeah, no, totally.
that was dumb.
Hmm. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's that
Yeah,
uh the sort of investment of time and money versus
yeah.
what how you feel about the experience.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's like if I don't really, like you don't have to leave your house. You just hit a fucking button to watch Netflix. Like I'm already paying for it, so
Hmm. Well, I see my opinion on Netflix's original feature films is mostly based on like I see lots of their like romantic comedies and their
Mhm.
independent stuff. So because that's the stuff
Yeah, yeah.
my wife likes, and so I see a future where if we are doing fewer like tentpole like big
Mm.
budget studio movies, maybe the American model becomes like in Europe for a while, where we do these kind of like smaller,
Yeah.
mumblecore kind of stuff, where it's just like a long shot of someone in black and white smoking a
Mhm.
cigarette, and then they're just like, me and my father never got along.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. I mean, I think it's good for like small, medium budget shit. I mean, also because I mean, like the theatrical release comedy is pretty much almost dead. So, I mean, it's good for like shit that's like not gonna make like a whole bunch of money in like the modern blockbuster market. But I do fear for. I mean, they make so much money, but they cost so much money. I do wonder what's gonna happen to spectacle movies in the next like 2 or 3. Like your big ass, your big ass shit.
Hmm.
Like, I wonder what's gonna happen to them because I love them, but also you kind of they're way better in a theater. So, which I miss dearly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I did you see 1917?
Yeah, it's 1917.
I thought that was a really a good spec. It
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was a great movie. But it's also one of those movies. It's like, did you see it at home or in a theater?
I saw it in a theater, and it was great in a theater.
Yeah, that's the thing. I saw it in a theater. Actually, like we all wanted to go see 1917. I remember being like, I'm too fucking high for this. Like, we got high, and I was just like, man, like this is. I'm like, I'm not gonna remember. Like, I remember the movie, but vaguely. You know what I mean? Because I was just like, it was like me and a couple of my friends went, and then I was like, we were doing like smoking, doing edibles. My friends like, hey guys, want these? And I was like, I guess I do. And then yeah, it's been like, shit, I am too high for this movie, but I, you gotta sit there and keep watching it. So,
Of course. I'm trying to remember. Were you with when there was one year I remember it was when the Avengers was out.
mm-hmm.
I believe Tommy, it was during the Laughing Devil Festival. I think
Mm-hmm.
Tommy, and I can't remember if you were there or not, but I definitely
I
remember.
was not.
Okay, so I remember like doing a bunch of mushrooms and going to see the Avengers and just being in marvel of all the colors.
Yeah, nah, that sounds about right. I mean, we do that shit, but that's actually before I started doing mushrooms again, and I was not at that festival. But yeah, that is a Tommy activity.
Sorry about that, man. So I kind of want to trace this a little bit because I feel like you're one of the, as I've been able to reach out and connect with like my
Mm.
Baltimore crew, I feel like you're, I like a lot of you. I know you very well. I spent a lot of
Yeah,
time with you.
yeah,
But as
yeah.
far as your life before comedy, I don't know what the fuck's going on there. So what's going on with you? Are you from Baltimore originally?
I mean, I'm from like Baltimore County. I grew up. I
Mm-hmm.
went to a private school in Baltimore City,
Okay.
and I mean, when I went to college, and then I was entirely too fun, and so of course, as many do, I transferred to Towson,
Uh-huh. Yep.
and
I
then
spent my time at
yeah,
Towson as
it was
well.
pretty much one of those things. It was like because of the school in Maryland, my parents were like, "Hey, you know, like you go to Towson, you don't have to pay any money, so you should go to Towson." And then I
Gotcha.
was like, "Oh, I don't know the choice. This is free home one, so sorry."
Oh no, it's all good, man.
Hello? Oh, for God's sakes! I'm always like, is this like a work thing or an important thing? It was goddamn Chase Freedom. Sorry about that. It's like like three people call me, and so if I get a phone call, I'm like, is this important? Is this an emergency? Or is this a robocall? And it's always a robocall. So
I
like, I don't
well,
know why answering my phone.
I might keep that in then because
Yeah,
that was
that's.
hilarious.
I mean, it's fucking true. So anyway,
uh,
like I went to Towson. I was like doing a whole thing, creative writing and shit, which of course where the big money is.
mm-hmm.
And then I was like, whatever. I was like, yeah, people always be like, hey, you're a funny guy. You should do comedy. And then like I did it once in like, oh god, it's actually kind of funny story. I did it once in like 2005, 2006. I remember I hosted this like a friend of mine. They're doing this punk show over at the Copycat Building over near Micah, and they're like, Brian, you should host an MC. And I was like, okay. So I went in there. I did like my 10 minutes. It actually went okay. And then I remember like the bands I'd been bringing them up, and then
Yeah.
like one of the bands like the third or fourth band before the party broke up, I was like, hey, you know, when you guys are introducing, you're like, actually, it would be great if you did not bring us up to stage. If you, and then the other funniest, even funnier part about that is the band. I actually like years later ended up becoming friends with like everyone in the band. Independently of that, and then like we would talk about it, and then like then a couple more years later we just saw some of this show, and then my one friend Kurt was like, actually that was us, I remember that. And I was like, Baltimore. Yeah, so it's pretty much, I did that once. I did like a couple like auditions for some shit before I actually like started doing comedy, because this is like, I think a lot of things like doing comedy is like no one actually, until you start doing it, you do not know how that shit works.
No, absolutely not. You
And
don't.
so like I just like go, I think I'm to like a fucking BET audition. Actually, the fucked up thing, the BET audition I actually did well, but like no one made it on there. But anyway, then like 2008, I think it was like a new year. I'm like, I'm gonna start doing stand up comedy. Is that like, you know, just like rattle off like do a couple minutes of like shit, or like when we all drunk and shit at friends' house. Be like, I'm gonna do comedy. And people be like, that's great, Brian. You should do that in front of other people on a stage where it's appropriate. And I'd be like, okay. And then I started doing it, and then I keep doing it because once you start doing it, you can't stop doing it.
Yeah,
But also
you
then I
do it
was like, I got to
forever.
a point where I was like, I should go do this for a living. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to go do this for a living. So I just kept doing it here and like teaching, because I don't want to, like, you know, Baltimore is a cheap place to live. And man, I think it's also one of those other things. It's like, you know, when you start doing, you start like talking to people to like do it for a living. I think that's one of those things
Mm-hmm.
about comedy is like, it is the best scared, just doing it is like scared straight for doing comedy. Because I'd like talk to these like older road dog guys, and like, unless you're like, you know, like Kevin Hart, and like I talked to them about stuff. I remember shit. I think the best advice I got about comedy was like a few years ago. I was in like in the green room at Magoobies. I talked to this one guy who was like an older road dog who did comedies in the 80s and 90s, and he was talking. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
it was like it was different back then. You know, I just moved to Vegas. You know, it'd be there, you'd be out for a week. I'd just be doing cocaine. My family won't talk to me. Look, son, here's the best advice you're gonna get. You're never gonna make any money. You're never gonna be famous, kid. You do it because you love doing it. And then I was like, thank you, grizzled old man. And then we kept watching football. But like, yeah, it's also the other one, and I'm not gonna say kind of the other big one that like made me feel good about the decision that I made to like stay here and do this. This was 5-6 years ago, right?
Right.
Again, I'm hosting Magoobies. It's me, our dear friend Thomas Mbazo. He was featuring, and the headliner was like like a nerdy guy. I used to live right by Magoobies,
Right.
and
Right.
so we're there. And he's like, "Hey man," or like, "Hey, do you want to like come over play video games, smoke weed?" He's like, "I don't smoke weed. But yeah, I'll come over like play video games with you guys, hang out." When we get to my old apartment, he walks in and he's like, "Hey, did you win a settlement? How did you afford all this shit?" And I was like, "I have a job." It pays me money. That's how I have all of these things. And this is a guy like I knew from like, I'd seen him like on TV and shit, and he's like, professional, like big shit just for laughs and all that. And so that's like,
Mm-hmm.
I love doing comedy. And now, especially in 2020, I feel very good about my decision to just never pursue it professionally.
Yeah, that's kind of where how I feel now, where the circumstances of where my career is, and the fact that you know the podcast has become a thing that I've
Mhm.
started to see a little bit of some movement on,
Yeah,
and that's a thing that I can do as long as people are willing to talk to me,
yeah.
um, and yeah, like I have seen that. Well, I hope I can fill the other 45 minutes of this episode, but
Yeah. Oh, don't
uh,
worry.
so yeah, so to kind of like start like breaking that down, like talking about like the job of comedian, like and what it entails, especially if you're doing it like on a full time and
Oh
traveling
yeah,
and
no, I
stuff.
also know how much like people get paid to do it, like from like clubs and shit. And like you're just like a guy. All right, so like I did the math on it. All right, so it's like independently of taxes, like what your agent, what your manager, what everyone gets, and also because you get copy art and airfare. Like even if it's like, all right, let's say you're just like you're some dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was found a lot of time like in the office hanging out at a comedy club, or before everything got shut down. But I think it was like I don't know if I should be saying how much people get paid, but like
You can
unless
be as vague as you want, because this is all stuff I'm interested in.
okay, so it's pretty much like if you're just like some dude who's got like Comedy Central half hour, you're coming into headline, you're not like famous and shit, you're doing 5 shows, and this is like a good like it's like an A minus B plus room, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean it's not like like one of like the fucking top tier clubs, but it's like one of the like it's in the conversation for top tier shit, right? You're
Right.
gonna walk with about like independent like you're doing 5 shows, you're gonna walk with about $750, about 1750, $1,800, right, for the
Mm-hmm.
weekend as the headliner. But it sounds like a decent amount of money, but you got to remember, right, that's like how many weekends in the year are there? Also, it's like your hotel's comp, your airfare fucking isn't, and also you got an agent and a manager, they're gonna get their big too. So if you're good at math, that's probably work. And also, it's like even though there are 52 weekends in the year, you ain't getting booked for all of those because there's so many
Right.
people and shit. So like it's really you look at that like you're probably unless you're like David Tell who makes a or like one of those people like everyone knows and is famous, you're
Mm-hmm. That's gonna
probably going
sell
to be
out the
doing
room.
you're not going to sell the place out. So like if you're one of those guys, you're probably not making that much money. Also, I did remember years ago talking to a different comedian that was in Baltimore for a few years on a very famous podcast. I remember him telling me when he was in LA, he would like work on ridiculous. I think he was writing for ridiculousness in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. He was in LA and
Mm-hmm.
they're paying you like 25, 30 grand a year or some shit. You know what I mean? To live in Los Angeles. Not granted 10 years or whatever, but it's just like the math of that is terrible.
Right. When you start factoring in like the amount of time versus
Expenses,
return.
and then also everyone's got to get their cut of that shit. And also, it's just like you gotta live in roommates in expensive cities. I don't know. So,
Yeah. From what I'm gathering, early on, you had a very practical approach to how you were going to pursue your creativity. Certainly.
I love doing this shit, yeah, but it's also like yeah, I mean, it's definitely I think I'm a pragmatic person. It's like I love doing these creative endeavors. It's like why I work my regular ass job during the week for the 40 hours, so I have the time to like, well, at work, pursue that shit. I love doing it, but I only have so much faith in myself to draw an amount of money that I would be comfortable to live on.
Right.
One and two, just the odds. So it's just like I love
Mm-hmm.
doing it. It's one of those things. It's like it really does make like a lot of things worthwhile, but like, holy shit, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I found myself. Well, the biggest thing for me was realizing that hanging all of my like hopes of personal happiness on the ability to be a full time
Oh God,
touring
yeah.
road comic is not a healthy thing to do. Number one,
No.
because again, like you're saying, the odds of it all, and number two, if you get there, that's not a guarantee.
It's not
That
also
you're
like that
gonna.
fucking lifestyle.
Yeah, it certainly is a
I mean,
lifestyle.
just going to hotel. I know personally, my little secret, Will, I might like to drink a little bit here and there,
Hmm.
and I don't know if you picked up on that through the years, but
No, I
you
have.
need this.
I
I know. I just everyone. I drink a lot less now because, like, why? Early pandemic though, holy shit, was I getting down? But like after a couple months of it, I was just like, this is pointless.
yeah.
I'm just getting drunk in my
Hmm.
house and talking to my friends on PlayStation. Like,
Yeah.
and it's also, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And then also you get, just
I know what you
it's
mean.
whatever.
For me,
Yeah.
it was food. I was just like bagels every day, takeout every night, and then my wife was
Yeah.
like,
I was actually shit. I have eaten so many fucking bagels in the last like 6 months. They're delicious, but
they
like,
are. Well, I found like the one of the best bagel places in New York. There's a
oh, well, yeah,
location
shit. That's
near
also
my
in fair because you live
apartment,
in New York.
and yeah,
Oh.
it's near me, and it
Mm.
delivers, and they have an app. So
Oh God, yeah, that's rough, man. I mean, because that's the thing. It's like I'm in Baltimore. I gotta get like, I mean, there are some pretty good places for bagels and shit, but like,
mhm.
you live in New York. That's not. Yeah, that's just unfair to you and like the consumption of carbs, really, because it's like
Yeah,
that's gonna happen. You're in the bagel capital of the world. Like, I'm
yeah.
here. I gotta like go get fucking grocery store bagels and shit. Like I'm in Baltimore. It's
There
like
isn't
House Top
like
Bagel.
a Jewish owned deli in Baltimore now by now.
They are, but I'm gonna have to go so far, and then just to get bagels, like
Okay,
just for
I
me pragmatically.
sure.
Again, I
Yeah,
love bagels, but then like, am I really gonna take like a trip just to get like and then I gotta eat all of them because you can freeze them, sure, but that's just not the same. But
not. I agree with you. Not the same. Can you tell me about this? I want to go back a little bit. Can you tell me about this BET audition? I don't know if I know this story.
oh shit, yeah, I think it was like in '05 or '06. They had these auditions for BET's coming to the state. This is before I actually started doing comedy. I saw a thing and was like, one of my friends was like, hey, you're funny. You should try this. And so
Sure.
like I went to it, and I was at the old Comedy Factory above Burke's,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I just came in there. I did a lot of like my early shit, which I consider to be well, frankly, hacky as fuck. And I mean, like
Mhm.
when I think back about like the shit I started, but I think like that's everyone though. Like when
Sure.
you think about the shit you did when you started doing comedy, I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, I did voices and shit, which I think I do them sometimes, but not on stage for like stand up. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like I just like the shit. It was went in there, did a bunch of corny shit, had an okay set, and it was just like a weird thing because I remember the one big thing was they were like, okay, everybody, you got to remember this: if you do any like musical parodies or impressions of copyrighted material, we are going to cut you. Please, for the love of God, don't do your Michael Jackson impression. And every fourth person would get up and be doing their Michael Jackson impression. He was still alive at the time.
I remember. I had no idea that you had to. I thought that would be protected under like parody clause or something.
I think it's just one of those things where it's like they just rather not.
Yeah. Rather not even take the
Just
chance.
don't
Okay.
even, it's like it probably would be, but I think they're just like we don't want. Also, it's just like, look, guys, here's the other thing: no one's gonna do a better Michael Jackson bit than Chris Tucker's. What if Michael Jackson was a street pimp from Def Comedy Jam? Which I think is still some of the funniest. It's so fucking stupid, but it's just it always gets. Have you
I
ever
mean,
seen
it
it?
crushed. Yeah. The slow
Oh yeah,
down too. Yeah. I saw it. Like.
oh yeah, it's so fucking stupid. It just gets me here. And also it was the
Yeah.
'90s, so like that's the other thing. You ever watch old comedy, just like the shit that would like fly and destroy them,
Mhm. I mean, I still have that with doing comedy nowadays. I'm just like, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, definitely. My big thing is like whenever I'm on Twitter and I see some shit, I'm like, really? 500,000 people liked this. Like
Right.
really, 500,000 of you, and then I'll look at the person like, and you still have like 500 followers. What am I doing on here? And then I'm like, oh, that's right, just trying to take the easy way out. Because I think we all still think it's 2012, and if you write like a good enough tweet, someone will let you write television.
Yeah. Which I don't think is the case, really.
No, that's not the
anymore.
thing. That hasn't been the thing for years, but none of us can stop doing it. I mean, Jesus, how many fly tweets did you do last night? Well, I did more than I'm proud of admitting.
Well, I delete fly tweets after the VP debate. I
Oh yeah,
deleted one, and then I wrote another. But what got me was when two comics who I'm really good friends with both had a viral tweet with the fly is Mike Pence's only black friend joke.
and then I like the reaction to that one where they're like, okay, look, we are not cool with black people. We should not be cool with us. Don't compare us to flies.
Right. Exactly.
And then also Colbert did that too, I think, on the show. It's just, that's the other thing with it. Like, I always find it like sort of weird and disheartening about Twitter is that like, you know what I mean? It's just like your friend go viral, but then also like, shit, what was that one like too? You know what I mean? It's just like you see one, it goes viral, and then also you see the same shit 3 or 4 other times from different people also going viral. I don't know. That website makes me so upset, but I can't get off of it.
Well, that's why
It's a metaphor for life.
I know exactly what you mean. That's why I never I just view Twitter as like as a I'm gonna hear my new podcast episodes, and if I think of something really funny, I'll tweet a joke. But it's not, and especially with topical jokes, everybody is gonna come up with this with
Oh
the
yeah, no, it's
same
the
three
same
or four
shit.
things immediately, and then it's going to spiral into this whole debate about like parallel thought and well,
Oh
you
yeah,
must
definitely
not
will.
be. It'll be like, oh well, you must not be that great a comedian. I've never heard of you because most people don't realize that you haven't heard of most
Oh no,
comedians.
that's I think that's well, that's another thing I always think is interesting about comedy is like yeah, unless you're like a number unless you're like really in that small like elite handful of people that make like gobshits of money, nobody knows who the fuck you are. And like you know, and it's all you know what I mean? It's just like unless you're
Yeah,
like fucking Kevin Hart, people don't know. And it's, I always think it's interesting that when like comedy people they put a show together and they're like, oh my god, we got like person that you would know if you do comedy. And then I'm always just like, I don't think anyone that like doesn't do comedy is gonna know or care who that is. You can just put anyone on that headline on that like fucking poster and blow their head up, and people will just be like, oh, that's a person. I like comedy, and then they'll just go.
yeah. I feel like that in cities like New York and Los Angeles, that's thought of as like, well, if you haven't been on TV, who else is going to come to our show
Yeah.
if we don't have people who are on TV? But I've had comics on this show that have like been on Letterman and Conan,
Oh yeah, no.
and there are certain shows and there's certain like bar shows in Los Angeles that they can't get on. And I'm like, well, fuck everything then.
Yeah, oh yeah, no. It's like it's. I mean, it's yeah,
It's a little
it's one of those things
absurd.
where I think it also goes back to that advice I got. Like, unless you love doing comedy, you really shouldn't fucking do comedy because like that shit will just like destroy you
Yeah, which is
emotionally.
which is why I'm now at a place, and to anyone else out there who might want some life advice, Brian and I are in places, and I don't know how you feel about your current job, but I like my day job. I feel fulfilled by it, and then I also have energy and enthusiasm to be a good husband and to do
Oh
comedy
yeah, I know. I
and
hear what
do
you
all
mean,
this
man.
stuff.
Oh yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I don't. I have let's say a complicated relationship with my employers, my place of employment, but it does afford me the finances to live uh, a comfortable lifestyle. So affords me the amount of time where I don't. I mean, it's just like I can get some writing in. I can really do like a bunch of other shit, and I got the time to do it. And also, it's like flexible enough to have the hours. You know, like or at least it was before all this shit, where I would just have the ability. I still do to start. Well, you know, it's one of those things actually. Where it's like because everything the world is shut down, it doesn't really fucking matter that like you know what I mean. It's like I'm not gonna like be going and hitting like a couple spots at night. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
like I just don't
totally.
go to like go hit like shows and shit that often now, unless they're like outside or like go hit mics and shit. Which I think is also partly why I keep using more of the Twitter. Just as like I don't have that normal like come up with an idea, do it on stage later thing. I'm just like get this idea out in the world so it's out in the world somewhere, and then you have a note toward. You know what I mean? I guess it's because like I think it probably is more because I'm like actually performing less. But I've also started doing like a lot of other shit to take up that time. Like I
The
do more
podcast.
podcasting. Started doing a dabble in streaming now, which I enjoy the show I do on Mondays. The other like the standard shit, that's just a weird fucking world. Like Twitch is weird too.
Mm-hmm.
That shit seems really fun. I mean, if you like want to do that, you have to do that shit for like 12 to 14 hour stretches and shit. So I am not with that, as I again have an actual job.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like those are similar kind of pitfalls as well. Like
Mm.
the full time YouTuber or the full time, uh,
Oh yeah, no, that's it. Also like,
like what's gonna yeah. It's like
oh, it's
all right.
also this march against.
Oh, is there a little bit of a delay?
There might be a little bit of a delay, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. I might kill my video just to see if I can improve the bandwidth a little bit.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna keep on going just because I got the nice guy. Okay.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, yeah. Once you get into like the like I feel like full time YouTuber, you have to like do the thing that's like what is your audience still gonna watch? Or, like
Oh
what
yeah, no,
is
that is
the
true. Yeah.
what's gonna especially if you're a gamer, like how many videos about Superman 64 being bad can you watch?
Well, that's that, and also it's like you do have to play like the shit that is popular, not necessarily the shit you want to play. You know what I mean? It's like, right, I feel like you want to stream, you got to do like you got to play like Call of Duty, Among Us, or like 3 or 4 other games. I do a show on Mondays where I pretty much I eat edibles and I just play like VR horror games. I like doing that one. Actually, I really love doing that one. That's a lot of fun to do.
Uh-huh.
And then like I feel like dabbled some here and there with other shit. It's just like that just seems like a big time commitment to get a couple people to watch a thing, and then you got to set all this shit up, and then also it's just like honestly like I like doing the one show on Monday. That's a lot of fun. People enjoy that one. I kind of and this is one thing. It's like I don't know why I do it because like the time I'd spend doing stand up. I don't really have that time I don't spend time doing that, but I want to like do something creative every day, or you know what I mean, just like put do a thing, you know what I mean? So I'm not just like working, watching TV, going to bed. You know what I mean? I like to get like something, spend something of that time that I used to spend doing stand up, doing something. It's just also honestly, even though like I do a little bit, I dabble in the streaming and the video games. I never got like the appeal of it. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I see some streamers on there because like some of the people I follow on Instagram are like just stupid fucking hot cosplayers. I understand watching them play video games. Me being some dude who is at times funny, I don't really get the appeal of watching me play like fucking like the Avengers game or some shit. But I did dabble in it. You know what I mean? So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It's a lot of shit. Also, I think with the thing like the streaming, the podcast, I think like everyone also had the same idea at the same time because it's like we can't do this. Let's all do this thing now on the internet. So it's a bit congested and overpopulated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like it's been interesting watching that happen to OnlyFans in such a small jump.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, like
I do not doubt that.
like a lot of comedians I know like that was we're quick to get on that, and then
Mm.
and now we're already entered the celebrities on
Oh
OnlyFans
yeah, that
to
is
ruin
true.
it for
Yeah,
everybody else, which I totally
that is true.
I
Famous
totally
people are getting
understand.
into that.
Yeah, which I find I find hilarious, but I also I get it. Well, what comedians made you want to do stand up originally? Because I know we've done lots of shows together, but I don't know if
Yeah.
we've ever talked about like favorite comedy albums or anything like that.
All right. So I'd say like growing up, it was. I mean, my actually as like at a young age, my father one time I was like maybe 9 or 10 years old, and my dad was like, "Hey son, you like to swear all the time. You should listen to this." And he played the George Carlin seven words can't say on vinyl, and I was like,
Uh
"Well, this is fucking great." And so I'd say like as a kid, listen to like a lot of George Carlin and shit like that. Also though, I think the other big thing though is like, I mean, I'm like shit 39. So I do think like growing up in those stand up, like, because the 80s were the stand up comedy. Like, I mean, the 80s and 90s were that was pretty much the stand up comedy boom years. So then
yes.
growing up in that, you could watch stand up comedy all the fucking time. The VH1, I used to watch a lot of like VH1 stand up Spotlight or whatever, hosted by Rosie O'Donnell. We had no idea then. We just thought she was a woman that loved neckties. But
Mm-hmm.
we would watch a lot of that as a kid. I used to watch a lot of stand up, and then like I remember I'd listen to Chris Rock's "Roll with the New" on cassette in my car a lot when I was in high school. That was a
Uh
big
huh.
one. Dave Chappelle's "Killing Them Softly." I used to watch that, and I've
Yep.
seen that like I probably have that shit memorized. Oh, and actually, the one I'm kind of embarrassed about liking when I was a kid was Dennis. A friend of mine had Dennis Leary's "No Cure for Cancer," and we would also listen to that in my car when we would drive around.
Mm-hmm.
I am a bit embarrassed about being a Dennis Leary fan when I was a kid, but like I did not know about Bill Hicks until I was a couple years older.
Mm-hmm.
And also, though, Dennis Leary's prettier, so and I guess not dead, but yeah. So it was like that would be the shit that really got me into it as a kid,
Uh huh.
and then I just kept watching it evolve, and I just kept like watching it and shit. And then actually when I started doing stand up, I kind of stopped watching a lot. Like, I watch like the big specials, from like I watch like all the Dave Chappelle shit, or like I watch like like the big name people that are like you got to see this, or I'll sometimes watch them out of like morbid curiosity just
Mm-hmm.
to see how it is, and I'll usually watch for like a couple minutes or something and then turn it off. But yeah, I'd say the big ones were like Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, just growing up like in the like late, in the late nights. I also used to watch like a shitload of Def Comedy Jam when I was a kid
Yeah.
because that would come on like Fridays at 11, and we had HBO, so like I would just watch it. Like it's also like I wasn't like that cool, so like, and also when I was like 12, you really ain't gonna be out that late on a Friday often.
Sure.
So yeah, I watched like a lot of Def Comedy Jam growing up. Big huge Bernie Mac fan as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'd say those are probably some of my bigger influences comedy wise. Like Chappelle, Chris Rock, that like fucking Bernie Mac, which
Uh huh.
uh, yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't think anyone could really pull off the shit that Bernie Mac could pull off except for Bernie Mac. But
Do you remember saying like y'all don't understand, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers like the first time around? Because
I mean, I don't really have a vivid memory of seeing it like the first time I did, but I do remember seeing it. Actually, I now remember the thing that actually like I remember actually the incident that got me into like thinking I could do stand up though now.
mm-hmm.
It was me and my friend Katie when I was at Towson. We went to go see Lewis Black, and the guy, I think this actually is the thing that happens for a lot of comedians, is like the first comic they had up, I forget the guy's name, long hair, kind of wispish white gentleman, bit
Mm-hmm.
older. I remember watching him being like, this guy fucking sucks. I could do a better job than him, and he's opening for Lewis Black, and that was the night I was like, I should do comedy.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that story before.
I think everyone has that a similar story. When you're just like you're there, you're watching, and also I know people have said the same shit about me too. So to anyone that I've inspired that is listening, you're welcome. And also, you're right to hate me for starting you on this journey of stand-up. It's beautiful and not, you know.
Yeah. Well, I've found, and this is the kind of Zen approach I have to it now that I'm 10 years up here, is that again, you can't rely on being booked for your sense of self-worth, and that whenever and that there will be a lot of people that tell you no, but you can always find a way around that, and there's always something you can do and create that doesn't involve you needing permission from somebody in a higher position in the comedy world than you.
That is very true. I mean, I do a lot of other shit too, which is good to have other outlets for expression. Because like as much as I love doing the stand-up, it is at times a weird system. And also people just, I mean, depending on like, you know, at times, I mean, how I put this in a diplomatic way, I do think there are certain pervasive sensibilities that people like yourself and myself don't necessarily embody that are more pervasive in mainstream comedy. You know what I
mean? I do. Like
I think also part of that does have to do with sensibilities on a lot of things. And then you know, it's just that sort of thing where it's like, you know, I personally, it's like I do have like traditional joke setups, but the topics and material on it doesn't necessarily fall in totally under the auspices of like mainstream club shit or alt shit. It's kind of in the middle, you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There's like Ripper, Crusher, club stand up, and then there's the alt scene. And I kind of relate to that in that I don't feel like I fit in any certain like group or tribe other than the overall tribe of stand-up. Like especially when you start seeing these little when you see like fandoms emerging or based around like big podcasts and popular patrons and stuff. I don't go too hard in the fuck your feelings mode, but I also don't go too hard in the you suck and are a terrible person side of it either. And that's not and I'm talking about different sides of like the political spectrum.
I know what you mean. I mean, that is part of the, I mean, God knows soccer about the just, I don't know. Frankly, just political discourse in this country has gotten real fucking weird since 2000. But
yeah. So but I've always liked kind of you and I being on our little weird island with our together, man. And I always found you very amusing, and I always and more so
enjoyed your stuff.
Oh, thanks, man. And then I also enjoyed just kind of like enjoyed your general vibe, because I was like, well, I don't feel like a lot of people get me, but I feel like Bryan probably does.
Yeah, no, I think that is, you know what? I think that's a similar sort of thing where it's just like you're doing comedy for like, because sometimes like, you know, I remember, all right, so this is like a couple of years ago. Jesus Christ. I was doing this one apartment show and shit in the lobby of this place, and man, I was just eating the biggest fucking dick that I'd eaten in like a couple of years. Except there's this, and like I also had this happen a couple other times at shows where it'd be like, I'm just there. I remember a couple other shows where it's just me fucking eating it hard. Except for like, there is one person in the front who is fucking dying at everything I'm saying, and everyone else is looking at me like I am just the biggest piece of shit in the world. And you know what? I think if someday I can actually get all of those one people together in one room,
right,
over the world.
Yeah,
so I was something for like, you know, it's like a very specific world that really appeals to some people, but maybe not be. And then also I just throw out more jokes about like fucking white ladies, and I just do that if it's just like, you know, like a big like club firm or some shit.
Yeah, no, totally. And speaking to that, like collect all of that one person in one room, like when we talk about like the practical realities of like even like your like no name like club headliner, the alternative to that to me is build your own audience, and then you could like do shows where you're in cities where you're popular. But I feel like that's also a pretty That's a pretty long slog to get there. I think for as the rule, there are of course
Yeah, I mean
exceptions.
that's yes, I would agree with that. I mean it's like it's really just like how do you get out there to reach them if you don't, you know what I mean? It's like a chicken and egg thing, right? It's like you want to get there and like connect to those people, but you're still, you know what I mean? It's like you can hit well with like that one specific group of people. They do exist everywhere, but it's like how the fuck do you get them to find out who you are in the first place?
Yeah, that's the eternal mystery, isn't it? I don't know if I've
Yeah,
quite.
I mean, it's also I think is it's like it's really great that like, on the one hand, you know what I mean. It's great that like just now as compared to like 20 years ago, every one of the cool things about just the digitization of like just film and creation of media and everything, right? Is it's really cool that like everyone now has the ability to create shit. The problem though is also that everyone now has the ability to
The
create
ability to
shit. So
create
it's
shit.
just like
Yep.
the double-edged sword of like the means of production are easy, but the market's oversaturated, So it's just like
Mm-hmm.
how do you know what I mean? And it's just like I guess like how do you stand out in that?
Yeah. What are some things that you think you've seen work for other independents? Like you said, you're really big into to independent comics, and then I know you're a big gamer also. So there's like, there's tons of great indie games I've
Oh, there definitely
and
are.
found on
Uh,
my PlayStation 4 I got earlier this summer before PS5 was announced.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, well, good fuck. I mean, do you have a pre-order, Will?
No, but I've got the
Okay, I
PS4.
was about to be like, because I do not. I
I've
have
got.
got it into my cart twice.
Uh huh.
I've got a PS5 into my cart twice, and then before I could enter my fucking credit card information, the PlayStation 5 is unavailable. And I was talking to my other friend, Will, and he was like, actually, a lot of the chains now are like sending out emails. They're like, we're delaying your shit till 2021. We overpromised on these fucking pre-orders. So,
Oh yeah,
anyway,
I've got the
also
PS4 and I have.
trash.
I'm good with that. What were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, I got PS4. It's great. Actually, one of the best decisions I made during when the pandemic started, I was like, before I guess they sold out everywhere. I had to drive like a ways to. I had to drive like 45 minutes each way to a GameStop in Montgomery County to get one. I bought a PSVR headset. One of the best decisions I've made because I can't go places anywhere more, so I just play a lot of VR now.
Uh, to give yourself the illusion that you're somewhere else.
I now I'm in space as opposed to like being at the fucking auto bar where I would normally be like on a Wednesday. You
Uh
know
huh.
what I mean?
I relate with this mode of thinking so hard, man.
Yeah, it's like I'm like, yeah, dude, it's like I can't go places, so I'm just gonna put on this helmet that lets me go places, and I'm gonna get real fucking high.
Exactly. Well, what I'm doing is preparing for the oncoming zombie apocalypse slash civil war with like the Resident Evil remakes as preparation
No, that's fair. That's fair.
and
Those are great.
mhm.
Two was better than three, but that was also the case in the originals. But yeah, I've been playing a lot. I mean, like there is so much indie. There are so many indie games, but I guess also like the same thing is just like it is just there is just so much shit. You know what I mean? There's just so much stuff. It's almost like there's too much stuff. I've been playing a lot of mainstream, big name. I've been playing a lot of like AAA big name stuff, mostly. Been into some VR stuff. I mean, I do play some indies here and there, and I've also been like, oh, I also got like this really cool little handheld thing from. Well, I bought. I don't know how they like sell so much shit on Amazon that's like should be illegal, but like I got like this little like a handheld thing from China that's like I guess like 150 bucks, and it's loaded with like it's like got like a little screen and it's got like like pretty much ROMs like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, like pretty much everything up until you can run an N64 emulator on it. Apparently, it's a little jank, but like pretty much everything with like Game Boy Advance, PlayStation One. So I got that. I'm playing a lot of old games on that.
Mhm.
Played a fair amount of shit on. So I play a lot of like remake, like just they did some like reduxes of some stuff that I played. Final Fantasy VII remake. I was big into that.
Mhm.
The only new game I play this game called Desert Child right now. I'm playing a little bit of that. It's like on PlayStation now. That's an interesting indie game I've been playing. I've been playing the new Star Wars. They have a Star Wars VR game that came out a week ago. I've been playing that. It's funny that people are big mad about that because apparently you can't be a white man on the Rebel Alliance. So everyone's been review bombing that. What the fuck else have I
Oh
been
god, what the
playing?
fuck happened to Star Wars fans? When did
My thing is, I'm like, did you watch these movies? You get the themes in the movies? You know?
yeah,
Like, do you get the overall shit that's happening? Like, do you know that the smartest and most competent person in A New Hope is Princess Leia? Star Wars has always had strong female protagonists. Like,
right.
bitch, what?
Yeah, it drives me so fucking nuts that there are these like overgrown like man babies who are just destined to make the entire all of the movies less fun for
Yeah.
everybody
Oh yeah.
involved.
No, it's a toxic. I mean, I can't. I do everything I enjoy as a toxic fan base. But you know what? Everything as a toxic fan base. The most toxic fan base: American politics.
Yes, 100%.
I
Yeah.
mean, shit. They make Rick and Morty fans seem reasonable.
Oh, dude, absolutely. People used to like rag on juggalos. Every juggalo I've met has been like pretty pretty nice in comparison to like your now average like Star Wars fan or
Oh
especially
yeah, no. I mean, they're. Well, I don't necessarily get their lifestyle. They are all about family and inclusion. So you know, like good for them. Yeah, no, that is true. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, sure. We all dunk on the Juggalos because the Insane Clown Posse doesn't make traditionally great music. I feel, but taste is subjective.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're pretty much all very inclusive, anti-racist, anti-whatever, whatever. Or at least the band is. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's all about family, which is yeah. No, the Juggalos are probably one of the healthiest fan bases aside from their love of Fago and I'm assuming crystal meth.
Well, I feel like we have I feel like we've got a dissertation here about how uh, about restructuring the traditional American family unit via juggalos. The
Yeah, I
juggalo
mean,
family.
shit. I mean, they are. Yeah, that's what they're about.
Ex,
It's all
ex,
about inclusive. It's all about found family, and you know, just
yeah, and there's a big reunion every year that
there
everyone
is.
attends. It was
And then
canceled this
also
year, but
like, yeah, pretty much. And then like people, you know, just I don't know. All the footage I see from the fucking gathering of the Juggalos is weird, but it's weird to me, and that's okay. But it does seem like a thing where if I was younger and smoked meth, I'd probably be into.
yeah.
Yeah,
Lots of cultures to outsiders
that is true. That is true.
look strange. Like I
That is
bet
true.
obviously like certain religions look strange to other religions
They all look strange. Yes.
that don't practice that. I know because my family gets real weird every holiday when it comes to my wife being Jewish.
Gotcha. Okay, what are they like snake handlers or something?
No, they're not snake handlers.
Okay.
They're just like
They're like
they're
real
just
Christian.
yeah they're just like Christian and they can't wrap their heads around anything that isn't
Gotcha.
thinking
Yeah.
Jesus is the son of God.
Yeah, like some of my family members are like that, and we just never bring up the fact that like we're all. Oh god, it was Jesus Christ. A bunch of the shit I saw when I went to I had to go to like a Christian high school graduation a couple of years ago. It was like one of those like
Mm-hmm.
big mega so fucking weird. But I have some of my family members that are like that, and I'm just like, that's great. Yeah, Christ is risen, guys. Whoop whoop.
Yeah, when you really break it down, it's we're all just doing different variations on whoop whoop.
Pretty much, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just it's like just. I mean, that's yeah, exactly. It's like we're all confessing something to something, and that's whoop whoop is how we confess.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just weird shit. It is pretty much, I guess, like the same thing. I don't know, like if there was a third Insane Clown Posse member, it would be easier to quantify which part of the Holy Trinity each one was. But I don't know the name of their DJ, but I guess
You could maybe say their producer Mike Clark. There was a third member back in the like pre Dark Carnival days, back when they were the
oh,
Inner City
okay.
Posse. So
Okay, gotcha. I mean, I mostly got introduced to ICP, I think, when I was in college. I mean, I hear about here, there. You know what? I would like see kids at shit wearing the patches, be like, "The fuck is this?" Actually, no. One of my friends had a copy of The Great Milenko. I take that back. But yeah, it's really like one of my friends in college was like, "Oh, I love Insane Clown Posse," and he just like make us listen to it all the time. I'd be like, I don't get this. But we're smoking your weed and we're in your dorm room, so whoop whoop.
it's important to go by the customs when you are
Yeah.
in
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it's
when you're
important
on
to be a good
foreign
guest.
soil,
Yeah.
so to speak. Um, I want to think about what we got going on here. So are you on Laugh-Finder also with
Oh
Tommy
yeah, no. I've
and
been on
Violet?
Laugh-Finder. Yes, it is. I have been on Laugh-Finder. Myself, Tommy, and Dorian are the only three people that have been on every episode of Laugh-Finder.
Awesome. That's very cool, man. And that's like one again, like we were talking about. That's one of those projects that I think is like that's very clearly you guys doing what you want to do and having a great time doing it, which is kind of like the overall theme of what we've been
Yeah.
discussing in
Oh
that you
yeah,
should
that's true. It's like
do
it's really
those
yeah.
things.
It's like it's the love of the game because also it's like one of those things where it's like you know what, uh, if I was doing this for money, then it'd be a job. And like I think something about like just having it be like an avocation as opposed to a vocation like allows me to keep like a love of the craft as a pure endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just you doing it for the love of it. And yeah, I mean, Left Finder, it's one of those things. It's just like me. It's just like me and my friends hanging out for a couple hours. Well, now twice a week because we also do Left Finder game night on Wednesdays because of the Rona. So it's
Yep.
just yeah, it's just like me and my friends hanging out, having fun together, and just fucking around and doing a thing people enjoy listening to. So that's it's like a nice thing to do. Granted, I could really get into. I mean, if you listen to the whole run of the show, you can hear about the many interpersonal battles and strife and bouts with addiction and just all sorts of just behind the scenes. Shit gets kind of real. Our third season of the show, shit gets real fucking real a number of times.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's just I mean relationships broke. I just like some of us, no one people are just dealing with alcohol. Yeah, just a whole bunch of shit happens in that one season where it's like it's still funny, but man, at times it gets real fucking dark.
Which is also my favorite kind of comedic thing.
Yeah, no, I also I mean I very yes I do find the dark shit to be the funniest shit. So that kind of helps. But yeah, there's like a couple episodes here. They're just like Jesus. But yeah, so no, I do that still, and then I work on a bunch of other shit. Some of that's on a hiatus, some of it's still going on. Just again because of the coronavirus.
Sure.
So I mean, like earlier this year, myself actually, again, Tommy and Dorian / Violet was on this one. We did like we started doing like this like very well shot taped comedy thing. A good friend, actually, I don't remember my lifelong best friend Steve. You probably met him like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he's in film production. He got a crew together to shoot this thing, this whole stand-up show that we're gonna do is like a web series thing that we shot in February. That's on YouTube. With Tommy and Violet and they're on it, and the other people. I don't remember like Candace Saunders and fucking Eric Woodworth's on it, and Beth Hayden's on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we shot that. It looks great. It's on YouTube. I think we're gonna move it to Amazon by the end of the year, just because people started getting like paid work again, so that kind of slowed down the production of that. We're able to do like a web show on that, but again, it's just like we start the things, and then like at times just real world practical shit gets in the way of that. But we did that this year. We did a scripted podcast for a number of years, like the superhero comedy one that Tommy and I would do together. That he would that he produced. We produced together. Meanwhile, the Skull Base. We were actually I had written a fourth season of that, and we started taping it on March 15th of this year was the first day we went into tape it. So that's on like a fucking. So that's been on pause for 7 months. So it's like I still do a lot of other shit, and then the coronavirus happened.
Yeah.
Oh well, it'll be there. Hopefully the jokes will still be fresh. I'll probably have to rewrite the whole thing, but whatever.
I even stuff that's kind of the time, I imagine there's a certain charm about it. Well, I'm glad that you're still doing stuff, man. And I apologize that I've been so bad about staying in touch over
it happons. I mean, hey, me too. I'm equally bad. I am horrible at keeping in touch with people. I mean, I have a lot of friends. What's also one of those things I think it's always interesting, even though we haven't spoken to each other in a number of years. It's still we very easily, and I've also found this true with like my friends from college and shit. When you see that person again, you just still, even though the amount of time has passed, you still very easily fall into the same roles and relationships. You know what I mean? Like the rapport is still there, even if you don't talk to that person for years.
Yeah, I agree completely, and I think that's a sign of a good friendship. And
indeed.
Yeah, and I'm glad for that friendship, man.
As am I. Good dude. I mean, I miss seeing her. I mean, God, I could just those heady days at the Hunt Valley Mall Damon's Grill.
Yeah. Those were that was a very formative time for me. So that those times were very important. And like again, you, Tommy, and Jay and T-Bread, like and Chris Malone also. He was probably
Logan.
I think he was maybe like after T-Bread, maybe the second Baltimore comedian I had ever met.
Man, Jesus Christ!
I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Met his wife. Oh my God! I remember like this one because because everyone is like, if you're about, there's a decent chance, even if you didn't know each other, everyone ends up going to Towson for a couple of years. I remember. I remember my old girlfriend from when I started doing comedy. We were all, this is years ago.
I remember her.
and we're all like her. Okay, so like one of her friends was, or like yeah, her. Okay, her roommates, now husband for the last however many years, was good friends with Chris. I remember we're all at their like joint bachelorette party, and there's this one girl, it's pretty hot. I couldn't say that at the time. I was with my girlfriend at the time. And I remember like she's like kind of whatever. She's like talking to Chris, and then Chris Malone starts doing the goddamn Christopher Walken impression at her, and I just wanted to be like, Chris, what the fuck are you doing? Sorry.
Well, my story with Chris and his wife, I remember we were doing a roast of T Brad at High Tops,
Oh
and
yes,
and I
no.
think they had just started seeing each other,
Mm,
and I went on stage and I told, because I think everyone kind of, I think everyone was kind of having the
we're all
she's
thinking the same thing, Will.
yeah, everyone was having
We're on
the
the same
she's
wavelength on
okay.
what you were thinking. We were all thinking the same thing. I do believe. At one point, I was like, "Is that a hooker?"
Well, and then the joke I made a joke about Elliot Spitzer, and they told me later that she laughed at that
Mm.
joke, and that's when he knew. It's like, oh, okay, she's cool. Um,
Oh, that's good. I just
this
remember being like,
relationship has some legs.
"Yeah,
So
good for you, buddy.
so
Good
I'm
for you, Chris."
I'm glad I could help bring some people together
No, there
with
you go. I mean, that's
bits.
ideally the goal of comedy. You know, it's to bring people together or alienate them terribly. It's one or the other.
Yeah, and sometimes it's fun to do the latter,
Yeah,
as
no.
much as it is fun to do the former as well. Are you gonna play Star Wars Squadrons when that comes out?
Oh,
Okay.
it came out last week. I have it. That's the VR game I was talking about.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna get it sometime in December. It looks really good. I mean,
it's fun. Uh,
I'm really bad at Star Wars Battlefront. Like I've tried playing online and I die like instantly.
yeah, that's I have that one too. I remember like that one kind of like sucked. It's like apparently for the last couple of years it's been good, but when it came out, it wasn't great, and now it's good. But yeah, I mean, I never got back into it. This one, it's all like it's like all flight sim and shit. I will say, that's one of those ones where it's like because it came out a week ago, and I started playing it. I pre-ordered, so I was playing it like last Friday at midnight.
Hmm.
It's VR, and I just remember being like, "Oh God!" I'm in like so you put the headset, and you're like just in a fucking X-wing cockpit, and I'm like, "Well, this is the coolest fucking thing ever!" Like this is just like just like all these boyhood dreams about this shit. So it's fucking dope in VR. I don't know if it's as good outside of the helmet, but like putting that shit on, and you're just like, "I'm flying a fucking TIE fighter. This is the coolest shit ever." Yeah, that was very strong in me. For it still is. It's still pretty cool to be like put the headset on and I'm just like, I'm in a fucking X-wing. This is no. It's fun. I like it. Also, it's
Awesome.
only $40, so yeah,
Cool.
I'd say just wait till it gets discounted because it will go on sale just like everything else.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that. I'm eventually gonna get the Final Fantasy VII
Oh, that was also fun.
remake. I've been and because I also pick games with the hope that well, I gotta also get some stuff that isn't all blood and guts and
Mm.
shooting. Uh, Rocket League just became free to play, so I'm really
Oh
looking
yeah,
forward
no,
to
I had that. That was
getting
one.
into
That's
that.
one on play. That was like, I mean, I don't know if you have you have the PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, I got the PlayStation Plus.
Okay, because that was like, I remember shit that because like that came out. That was like however many years ago it came out on PS4. It was definitely on PlayStation Plus in like 2000 whatever. So I played some of that here and there. It's been a minute. I'm not great at it.
I mean, I'm not good at I mean, I was pretty dialed in. There was a time when like Tommy and I would play Call of Duty Modern Warfare pretty regularly, and we were good enough where our teams could beat like spammers and stuff like
Mm.
that.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely played a
But
whole lot of. I played. Actually, I did. I was for a while during a couple months ago. I was playing a lot of the new Call of Duty. It's very good, but it just got to a point where I was like, I have to stop doing this. Also, at times it would get so heated it would test some of my personal relationships. Um,
well, if I ever run into you on the PlayStation Network, I'll join up
oh
with you.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not I can't I'm not great, but I don't make the experience unpleasant.
There you go. I mean, yeah, it was like. But it's also when you get like kind of serious about that shit. It sometimes get a little bit heated, but I play a fair amount of that. I got that. I mean, I just it's also one of those things where it's like because I don't go anywhere or do shit anymore.
Hmm.
I definitely have bought a lot of video games this year. Yeah.
Yeah, is this will be I think this is a good way to close. Is there something you want to make that you haven't made yet that you want you're thinking about for after the pandemic, whenever that is?
Well, it's shit. I got some ideas for some stuff. Probably we're just gonna tape that next season of Skull Base. At some point, we're gonna ideally get Laugh-O-Matic going again. I've actually been getting back into prose writing a little bit more like this past year, so I've just been like, starting short stories and shit. I'll probably send some of those up for publication, or try to, or I'm just gonna like just fucking throw them together in a collection to self-publish a bitch, because anyone can do that now, So I've just been like writing, working on some shit. I've been working with Mike on his like I help, I look over, I give him notes on his screenplays and shit.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah, so like I'm still like working on stuff. So I think like probably the other thing is like we're ideally just gonna get Laugh-O-Matic, ideally, fingers crossed, backup. Because also the other thing is like all our like film crew people were all like people that my friend Steve called in favors on, and we don't feel comfortable doing that during a pandemic. So
totally.
It's a lot of shit's just on hold right now. So yeah, it's pretty much just like right now I'm just working on writing gonna try and get like a couple more short stories done before the end of the year. Get the new season of Skullbase going, keep my streaming going, keep the podcast going. Ideally, we're gonna start this one screenplay. I've also got some other ideas for like some screenplays and shit, but I always get like, I always get like 50 pages deep, and then I'll be like, well, this is terrible, and then I'll just, and you know what? I'll go back and I'll be like, this is actually good, but I don't want to do this anymore. So I mean, I'm just gonna keep like just writing and working on shit,
Absolutely, I know 100%. Well, I look forward to seeing what you put out next, man. And
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and someday we'll do another show together. So
oh yeah, I'm sure. I am so bad with also like for the last couple of years, I've been like real fucking bad about never leaving Baltimore to do shit, because like I've actually been driving the exact same. I'm driving the exact same car I was when you still lived here, which was the time fine. Now it's a bit fucked up, but so then I'd always just be like, man, it's like, do I really want to like chance it driving 2.5 hours one way? I mean, it's always fine, but you know what I mean. It's just like
sure.
I don't feel like I was, and also like I love-hate relationship with the city of DC, mostly hate, but it's just weird parking. Everyone's up their own ass, but like yeah. So yeah, someday I will get back to doing shit not in Baltimore.
Well,
but that, of course, involves being able to do shit anywhere.
Exactly. Well, I look forward to that day, man. And
As do I.
It was good getting to catch up and talk to you again, man. So thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for doing it, Bryan.
Of course. No, thanks. Good catching up with you. Good just shooting the shit. And yeah, hope all is well in the city. Oh, congratulations on getting married. A thing that I will. You know what? Maybe someday.
That's thank you. Thanks, man. And that's a hopeful note to go out on. So thank you again, Bryan.
All right, take it easy, Will.
Peace. Thank you, folks. That is our show for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Bryan. It was great to chat with you again, man. Hope to see you more in the future. If you guys enjoyed this and want to tell a friend about this podcast, you are my greatest advocate for telling other people that this show is cool. We are available wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, all the apps in between. I want to ask you guys, if you are a listener to this show, relatively recent listener, and if you were able to, if you wanted to go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review or a rating, that helps the show surface for other people on that platform, and I would sincerely appreciate it if you could leave ratings or reviews on Apple Podcasts. I also want to let you guys know, if you are looking to subscribe to Stitcher Premium, you can use my code AWESOME in all caps. If you go to stitcher.com/premium, you'll get 1 free month off of your Stitcher Premium subscription. So that is awesome in all caps. And I also want to give a shout out to my supporter on Patreon at the awesome producer level, Mary Beth Mooney. Thank you so much for your support. If you guys are curious, you can go to patreon.com/awesomedisaster. Check out some of the stuff that I've got going on over there. And it's not required, because I love doing this show, but I do have some exclusive things going on. You can hear my solo music EP early. I release a lot of food writing, and I do a solo podcast where I make playlists. So I enjoy the stuff I've got going on over there, and I thank you guys very much for being here. I won't take too much of your time. Suffice to say, if you're listening to this on Monday or Tuesday, if you are registered to vote, go vote. And if you haven't already, and if you've voted early, excellent. And we'll see what the rest of this week brings us, guys. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hopeful. I'm cautiously hopeful. I'm preparing for the best and ready for the worst. And I hope you guys are safe and doing well. And I will see you next time between awesome and disaster. Stay safe, wear a mask, and take care of each other. Peace.